Okay guys, here we are back at it again. Got a little video to do today. We've got some viewer questions I'm going to answer, and well, let's get to it. One fellow's been waiting a week or two on me on one of these questions, but I'm going to start out with this one I got yesterday, and then we'll get to the second question, and when I get through this first one, I'll put a timestamp in the description on when I switch topics here. So my question I got yesterday is from a fellow all the way across the map in Slovakia, and I think if I can pronounce his name, but we're going to call him PK. So PK says, "Hi, can you compare your number 78 and number 56? Which one is, by your opinion, more comfortable to carry and handle? Which one of them you chose? Which one of them you choose if you could have only one? Okay, and what do you think about Northfield versus Tidwit? I want one of those two knives, but can't decide which one, so that's why I ask. Thank you in advance for the answer. Greetings from Slovakia." There's the question. Okay, and this is a hard one, so PK, that's what I'm calling you today. Here we go. Now, I've been fondling these since I read your question yesterday morning. So, which one do I choose here? Okay, there's number 78, Northfield. Here's the 56. This is a Tidwit trim. So, let's get to your first question here. Can you compare your 78 and 56? Okay, which one is, by your opinion, more comfortable to carry and handle? This is a hard one. This 78 feels great. I mean, it's got the line kind of frames pretty much same size, I guess. It's a little smaller up here on the top. Kind of fattens out just a little bit down here. So, but it's not much different. You can't really. It feels the same in the hand. So it just feels like you got one cylindrical knife in your hand. So. Then you have the 56 here with the dog leg frame, so it lays in the hand very well. But honestly, they both feel great. I mean, I've held them every which way, and they both feel great to me. I don't think if it's a question between which one feels better, I would probably say I'm telling you, I like the way the 78 feels. But this feels great. It feels even better when it's like this, when you're cutting like this, if you're cutting fruit, apples, whatnot. It feels great like that, but in this position, I think, even though it doesn't feel bad like that, but this feels better either which way you have it in the hand. So that's about all I can tell you on that. It's really hard to choose because I like them both just about equally. Can't speak today. It's cold out here and it's getting to me here. So, okay, which one would I choose if I could only have one? I think this is where my opinion, and take it for what it's worth. And this is me. I love the dog leg frame, and I'm new to this 78. This is my first 78 frame. But I'm gonna tell you, I love this 78. I just love everything about it. Feels great, looks great, and even if it was in the Tidwit trim, which there's still a lot of those out right now. on the market for sale. If it was, even if it was in the Tidiout, I would love it equally. So, you know, it's Northfield, so it's got it's a little bumped up on the trim. You have the cut swedge in the blade, polished. You got your lined bolster here. So, you know, if it was me, I would go with the 78. I love that big broad spear point on it. You know, it's a little wider than this 56. And that really, I don't know, that really sells it for me right there. I really like a big broad spear point. Okay, so with that question, I've got to go with the 78. Okay, what do you think about the Northfield versus Tidiout? And I think this is where I may be able to give you a little bit of advice here. I love the Northfield. I mean, I don't think it gets any better. I mean, you pay a little extra coin for the Northfield trim on them. You know that they do a little more. It's polished. You get your etch on the blade, which they do that with some of the Tidioats, but you get your badge here, and they usually use a little more higher end handle scale on the Northfields. I consider the Tidioats more of an EDC knife, just because they're not so kind of flashy and polished up and everything. That's why I'm not carrying this knife, is because I just think it's so pretty. I don't want to carry it. I don't want to get it. I don't want to. If I did carry it, I wouldn't use it because I don't want to scratch it. So that's where where my opinion differs on these two is. Of course, they make the Northfield in the 56 too, so. But you get the satin finish on the blade, and you know, they don't put the lines in the bolster and handle scale. And even though this is bone, they usually more on the lines of either wood or micarta. Which there's a lot of 78s out there right now on the market. I don't know if you're gonna buy one from a retailer or you're gonna buy one used or what, but there's a lot of wood, and I think there's still some micartas out there in the 78 right now, and there's still some of these out there on the market in the 56, and I've seen some of the acrylic handles for the Northfield. But if it was up to me and I had to pick between these two right here, or if this was a Northfield, either one, if this was a Tidiout, if they was both Tidioats or both Northfields, hands down, even though it would be hard to do, I would go with the 78. That's just my opinion. It's a good knife. You get 4 fingers on it. It feels great in the hand, either way you put it. I mean, mostly gonna be using it like this or like this, you know, or you're gonna be like that. But it just, I don't know, it feels great in the pocket, everything. And it's not to say anything bad about the 56, because it's about the same too, but I think there's maybe like a half a point difference in between these two with me, and that half a point will put this one second to me. So that's what I've got for you, man. I hope I can help you out, and I know it's a tough decision, but if you can only go with one of them, I would go with the 78. I think you'll be happy with it. It's not to say that you're not going to be happy with this if you go up to 56, but for me, I'm in love with that 78, and I'm actually thinking about getting another one. So that's how much I like it. Okay, to the second question. I had a fellow hit me up, asked me how I waterproof or take care of my leather slips and sheaths and stuff. So, hang on 1 minute. Yeah, I brought it out here. What I do on my leather is I use beeswax. You can get this pretty much anywhere. I got this at Walgreens, grocery or drugstore. So just beeswax, 100% beeswax. You can buy this stuff at knife making places. I don't know if it's in little sticks of beeswax. I don't know if there's any difference between this and the other, but this is what I've been using. It's just regular beeswax. What I do is I've been doing this myself. I put all that on there. But what you do, I don't have any leather that hasn't been treated already. Just to show you the difference, show you how much it darkens it up. But there's two things you can do. You can just use plain beeswax like I'm using here on these. Just rub it on. You don't want to put a ton of it on there. But your first coat, just put it on there where you've got it all on there. And take a hairdryer. After you get a coat on there, and you can see it all on there. It's all even mixed out on there. Just rub it in good. Take a hairdryer and heat that up, and it'll basically liquefy the beeswax. It'll make it liquid. That's what it'll make it, and that'll soak into the leather, and that's where it darkens it up. Now there's another thing you can do. I don't typically do this. I have done it in the past, but it tends to make the leather a lot more deep in the color. Is use neat's foot oil. You can look that up. It's easy to buy out there. It's just called neat's foot oil. And you take some neat's foot oil, put it in whatever you want, a little can or whatnot, just a little lid, whatever. And use about 50% neat's foot oil and 50% beeswax. Just a little mixture in a lid. And mix that together. You may have to heat it up and get your beeswax liquefied. Mix that up, mix it together, and then you rub that on the same way. You don't necessarily, if you've got it heated up and it's kind of liquid, you don't have to use a hairdryer to get it to soak in. But I would use one just for the heck of it after you get it all coated, and do two or three coats. That's the same with just the beeswax only, 2 or 3 coats. These have got 2 on them. I only put 2 on these. Because you don't want too much, because then you'll have waxy leather, and you don't want that. When you hit that with a hairdryer, it will soak up the beeswax, and it won't have no waxy feel to it or nothing. It'll feel just like leather, just like before you put it on there. So that's waxy right now because I haven't heated it up so it can soak in. It has a waxy feel to it. Excuse me. And well, you can see here where I've scratched this up. I just roughed this up this morning, and see it kind of takes some of the darkens it up a little bit. It'll darken it up a little more when I heat it up. You can see the difference there. I just roughed that up this morning. Just kind of have a little two-tone effect. But you can see how it kind of darkens it up. And the same, you get a scratch on your, bump it up, rub it up against something, you see where this has been rubbed up against. A little scratch right there. You can take your beeswax, rub it in, and it'll take most of that out. You can keep messing with that and keep rubbing on it, and it'll get it out of there. As you can see, hairdryer, take a hairdryer over top of that, and it'll soak it the rest of the way in there. That's just the only caution I give you, is to not put too much on there where it won't soak it up. That's what you don't want to do. Or you'll have a waxy finish on your leather. Let me grab something here. Okay, I got some water here, and you'll see how that water beads up on there? And just wipe it off. That's what beeswax does for you. Just rolls off. Now, if you leave it on there, it will eventually kind of soak in there a little bit, but not like it was just regular bare leather, untreated leather. So, to wipe those off, didn't mean to get water on them. Anyways, yeah, that's what. Let me see, this beads up on them. I done that one a couple months ago. 2 coats on that. I usually try to stick with 2, and occasionally there's a couple I've done 3 on, but I usually just do 2. That way if I scratch it or something, I can just go back over it with some beeswax, just like I did on this one right here. But 2s usually will cover it pretty good. Get down in your thread, your stitching here. And your edges will soak up a lot more, so you probably have to put a little extra on your edges because they tend to soak up a lot more. So you may have to do 3 or 4 coats on your end grain here on your leather. But that's how I treat my leather, man. I can't remember. Your name's not coming to me right now, but so like I said, either use beeswax or beeswax and neat's foot oil. You can use neat's foot oil by itself, but it I don't like doing that because you soak it up and it kind of makes the leather soft. I like to have my leather kind of stiff and let it break in on its own. So, and like I said, it'll darken it up a lot more, and I kind of like the reddish brown, but not as deep in the color. So I guess I've yacked at y'all enough. If you got any more questions, feel free to ask. I'll help you out if I can. Hope I didn't forget anything. So that's all I got today, guys, and I've got some knives coming in, so stay tuned. Hillbilly is over and out of here.